What's going on, Jets fans? It's your boy DT. Hope everybody is enjoying their weekend. Wanted to come on and do a quick game preview video. The 0-4 New York Jets come home to host the 1-2-1 Dallas Cowboys. New York is coming off an embarrassing loss in Monday Night Football to the Miami Dolphins, and Dallas is coming off a 40-40 tie with the Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football. Couple keys to victory, or certain things that I'm looking for from this team that I think will help get them into the win column. First and foremost, offensively, Justin Fields versus zone coverage. Justin has a 67% completion percentage against zone coverage, which is good for 22nd in the NFL. Dallas runs 84% zone coverage, which is the highest rate in the NFL. Largely cover 3 at 40%, 24% cover 2. So when you look at cover 3, and this is the image that I pulled off the internet, there are obviously different variations of cover 3 using a similar formula of 3 deep defenders, each covering 1/3 of the backfield, and then 4 underneath defenders. So the best way to attack cover 3 is seam routes, flat routes, and with a concept that the Jets like to run called dragon, which is a slant from the boundary and a flat by the inside eligible receiver, or a flat from the running back with a slant coming from the boundary. So I looked at Jordan Love's game versus the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, and just exactly where he was throwing the ball. I looked at his spray chart according to Next Gen Stats. You see that on the screen now as well. He absolutely destroyed the Dallas Cowboys to the tune of 337 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a completion percentage over expected of 10.6%. So if you look at his spray chart, a lot of things were short of the line of scrimmage, to the boundary, in the flat, exactly like I just said, is how you beat man coverage. And then occasionally he took his shots mainly deep down the left side of the field. Not a ton of throws over the middle where a lot of defenders are just going to be sitting. Also, cover 3 is a middle field closed defensive concept. So when the middle field is closed, they're taking away post routes and large dig routes maybe over the middle. So the middle of the field is largely going to be unavailable. You have to attack the flats. You have to attack the seams, which Jordan Love, you can see that touchdown right off the left hash mark. That is an indicator of attacking the seam. So I think Justin Fields can mirror most of this, right? I'm not going to say he is Jordan Love, but there is a good chance that Justin Fields can thrive against a defense like Dallas. Unfortunately, you're going to have to get the quick pass game going, which it doesn't seem like the Jets want to do early. They want to establish their identity running the football, which is all well and good when it works, but you need to be able to throw the quick pass game concepts, get Justin Fields into a rhythm, and perhaps for the first time almost all season seemingly, let's run some screenplays. I feel like it's not something this team is enabled to do. You can get the ball out to Garrett Wilson quick in the flat with a couple tight end blocking out in front of him. You can get the running back screen game going. And I think Khalil Herbert, newcomer from the Seattle Seahawks practice squad, formerly of the Chicago Bears, where he was teammates with Justin Fields, Khalil Herbert should be able to help get that screen game going. And in the absence of Braylon Allen, you're obviously going to rely on Breece Hall a lot more as your traditional running back with Isaiah Davis sprinkled in. So if Khalil Herbert is active, obviously there's a chance he's not because he is so new to the team. There is a chance that Khalil Herbert can get the screen game going for the Jets offense. Now, defensively, I just want to see Steve Wilks have more varied pre-snap looks. I don't want the defense to come out on first and second down, and it's almost easy for us at home even to tell, okay, which ones are dropping, which ones are blitzing, who's not going to, vacate that zone, who's going to, pinch down to the line of scrimmage. Very easy concepts to pre-snap diagnose. And Dak Prescott is playing at such an elite level of quarterback this year. He's just going to pick us apart. If we give him the same easy looks over and over and over again, like the Jets have been doing, it's going to be very easy for Dak to say, okay, I know as soon as I call hike, this is going to be cover 2 or cover 3 or man cover 1, and I know exactly where I'm going with the ball, and it predetermines all of the quarterback's processing, which allows them to play quicker football, which the Jets kind of just hand opposing offenses at this point. They're not even trying to disguise a ton. They do some disguises on third down when you go back in the film. They're rotating from 1 high to 2 high, and they're trying some different variations on third down. But I want to see that sprinkled in throughout the entirety of this game. The New York Jets use man coverage at 54% rate, which is sixth highest in the NFL. Dak Prescott leads the NFL with 49 completions against man-to-man coverage. So it seems like if the Jets do go man coverage, they're going to get picked apart by Dak Prescott in this offense. They are obviously dealing with a ton of injuries. I don't even want to list the number of injuries on this Dallas Cowboys offense because we can no longer look to injuries as the reason to point to the Jets having success. We saw it against Buffalo not work. We saw it against Tampa Bay not work. And we saw it even against Miami when Tyreek Hill went down with that gruesome leg injury. Injuries don't help this Jets team win from an opposing team standpoint. So they do have a myriad of injuries on their offense. If there was ever a time to show up and get home with 4 rushers, it would be this game. Do I have confidence in that happening? Not so much, because Jermaine Johnson still looks like he's going to remain out with his ankle injury, and you're not generating pass rush juice with guys like Tyler Barron and Braden McGregor coming off the edge. Michael Clemens, we know, is a pretty net negative in most games. Obviously, he had a better game against Miami, but the front 4 needs to get home against Dak Prescott, because whenever you get into man situations, even if that means blitzing with man-to-man coverage on the back end, Dak is most likely going to pick you apart. So I want to see more disguising from Wilks, not just trotting out the same easy, diagnosable defenses. Some personnel changes that I've been calling for on defense. Cam Jones, the linebacker that they signed on waiver cutdown day from Kansas City, I want to see him or Mykal Walker, the most recent linebacker addition who played special teams specifically on Monday versus the Dolphins. I want to see one of those two guys rotate in at linebacker 2 over Kiko Malinoa. I think Jamian Sherwood is obviously your only obvious starter at linebacker, and everything else can be up for interpretation or a rotation at a minimum. I don't want Kiko Malinoa playing 90% of the snaps. He's still a rookie. I think guys like Cam Jones or Mykal Walker, who did break down and tackle really well on special teams, that stuff translates to defense as well. Obviously, reading your keys and being in on the play obviously is your best chance to win on defense. But if you can break down and tackle like Mykal Walker showed on special teams, that can translate to the defense, who this unit is desperate for sure tacklers. So get up Cam Jones or Mykal Walker and rotate him in with Kiko Malinoa. Jarvis Brownlee looks like he's going to start for the Jets. They just traded for him last week from the Tennessee Titans. He is fully healthy, it appears. He should start in the slot with the absence of Michael Carter II. That doesn't seem like much of a surprise. I do want to see Malachi Moore rotated in or even overtaking Tony Adams in the safety room. He only had 2 snaps, Malachi Moore, last week, where Tony Adams was on the field for 100% of the snaps. And he was a liability over and over again. So I want to see more Malachi Moore over Tony Adams opposite Cisco. And I understand that this change specifically might not happen today, but I want to see AZ Thomas on the boundary and Stevens move back to safety. If you have Stevens and Moore back at safety with Sauce, AZ, and Brownlee in as your cornerbacks, honestly, I feel a lot better about it, because one, it's showing you're not stubborn on defense. You're not going to keep trotting out the same thing that doesn't work. And 2, you actually have a little bit more upside because you have AZ, who's a rookie, Brownlee, who signed under contract through 2027. Obviously, Sauce just got the big mega deal, so he'll be here for the next 5 years. And then it still gives you time to figure out safety position, which most likely you're adding 1 or 2 next offseason. Malachi Moore is the only guy I feel confident in that will be here next year. Cisco's on a 1-year deal. He's probably out. Tony Adams, I don't understand how he still survives all the things that have, the owner benching him last year to earning an incentive bonus this year. Still confused on what he does well for this team. So Malachi Moore might be your only safety heading into 2026. So if you're able to salvage anything out of Brandon Stephens, even if it is at a position you didn't bring him in to play, I think that still counts as a win for this coaching staff, because they're pivoting, going with upside on the boundary at corner, and still using a guy they paid big money to and finding a role where he can succeed. So I'm not saying it's going to be a perfect personnel change, but I would love to see those back seven changes to the defense. The front four of this defense, you're not going to be able to change a ton because Jermaine Johnson is out. Will McDonald, they seem to only like in obvious passing down situations or second and long situations where they could run, but they're most likely going to pass. So I disagree with Will McDonald's usage, but that's just where we're at right now with this team. And up front in the middle, Harrison Phillips, Juwan Briggs, Quinnen Williams, they're doing well, but when they're the only ones doing well out of 11, it's going to look hard for them to consistently have production. Quinnen has been dominant against the run. He's not been his normal self, I guess I would say, against the pass, but Juwan Briggs and Harrison Phillips have been, tremendous additions by Darren Muji in the middle of this defense. And without them, it would literally just be Quinnen running around doing his 111th and everybody else just kind of messing up. So defensively, I do want to see some wholesale changes. Not sure how many we see today, but I do think linebacker and safety can be changed today for the most part. And then special teams, Rich Cimini put out a tweet yesterday saying that the Jets are now on their fifth kick returner in as many games. Nwangu has a hamstring. He's been downgraded to out. Gibson has already been cut after his week 1 performance, fumbling against Pittsburgh. Braylon Allen, who was in on kick returns last week, is out for 8 to 12 weeks with a knee injury. Might not see him for the rest of the season. And then yesterday they cut Isaiah Williams after he had an abysmal Monday night performance, fumbling on the kickoff that he should have let go out of bounds, and then doubling down and fair catching a ball at the 2-yard line and making the Jets drive the length of the field in a 2-score game late in the second half. So Rich Cimini lays it out here. Avery Williams, a running back they signed to the practice squad via Atlanta, and Isaiah Davis are the likely 2 return men for tomorrow. But he does point out that Isaiah Davis being back there as RB2 can be very risky. So the Jets just need to find a guy who is going to give them a consistent floor at kick return and punt return. I'm not looking for a guy to go out there and be a threat to take it to the house every single time. We are many, many steps away from that. I understand people are asking about Jamal Pritchett. I'm not going to say that he's a bad player, but the fact that all these changes keep happening at a position he could play at, I think tells you where the coaching staff feels he is with his development, especially on a special teams level. So we should see Avery Williams and Isaiah Davis back there at kickoff, and most likely Avery Williams on punt return. He has been a solid contributor. Khalil Herbert, also, who I mentioned before, has given kick return experience. I believe he had 36 total returns last year. So there is a chance that they can get creative. But at this point, I'm just looking for a safe floor with the kick returners. I'm not looking for a high ceiling player. I think we're multiple steps away from that. Just give your team a chance. Special teams twice has now seemingly cost the Jets the game. Obviously, against Pittsburgh, they had a 9-score lead, immediately surrendered a touchdown following the Xavier Gibson fumble. And then Isaiah Williams in a 10-3 ball game coming out of half, where the Jets are supposed to receive the ball and potentially tie the game at 10. Isaiah Williams does the unthinkable and tightropes a catch along the sidelines, only to fumble at about the 26-yard line. So it would have been a net negative on a normal return, but the fact that he could have let it go out of bounds and they would have got the ball at the 40. So it was a net negative of 15 yards, and he fumbled. And the Jets never recover a fumble. So Miami gets a short field. They go right down, make it 17-3. And it felt like the game was almost out of reach at that point. I know the final score wasn't indicative of that, but 10-0, 17-3, 24-10. You can't have those deficits late in the second half. So those are the things that I'm looking for today. Just wanted to come on, give a quick 15 minutes about this game. If I had to predict a score, I would say it's probably going to be somewhere in the range of 34-28. I think both teams are going to score a lot of points. They're high potent offenses. I know the Jets have their pre-snap penalties and things of that nature that kind of limit them as an offense, but they are still a very high explosive rate offense. If you take out week 2, they are top 3 in terms of explosive plays, most of them coming in the run game, which is the bread and butter they told you they wanted to do. So lean on your run game, get Justin going in the quick pass game early, hopefully activate that screen game finally for the first time this season. And defensively, honestly, we just got to pray that they show us something. I'm not even thinking turnovers at this point. I'm literally just thinking stops and forcing punts, because I don't know if Dallas is going to be punting a lot in this game, but that is the only way we have a chance, is to stop Dak Prescott from putting 53 points on our head. So those are my thoughts, my keys to victory. Hoping the Jets can come away with a victory. Hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe if you're new. I'm DTereman, and I'll catch you next time.